Subscribe to my YouTube channel, share it with your friends, and comment your thoughts. The grand ballroom glittered with thousands of twinkling lights, crystal chandeliers, casting a warm glow on the finely dressed guests. The air was thick with soft murmurs, laughter, and the clinking of champagne glasses. This was the city's most exclusive gala, an event where the elite mingled, secrets were whispered, and reputations were made or broken. Among the sea of designer gowns and tailored suits, there was one woman who stood out, not because of glamour or grace, but because she looked completely out of place. Rashida's dress was simple, her shoes worn and scuffed. She had no expensive jewelry, no makeup to hide the tired lines etched on her face. Her eyes, however, held a quiet strength, a strength born of years of hardship and silent endurance. As she stepped cautiously through the crowd, several guests glanced her way. Some whispered, their voices dripping with contempt. Who let her in? One woman sneered, barely disguising her scorn. Looks like she wandered into the wrong party, another man muttered with a smirk. Rashida felt their eyes like needles pricking her skin. She could almost hear their thoughts. What is she doing here? She doesn't belong, but she was here for a reason no one else in the room could guess. The beginning of a long journey. Years ago, Rashida was far from the glittering halls of this gala. She had grown up in a small, dusty town where the streets were cracked and dreams seemed like distant stars. Her parents had been simple folk, hard-working, honest, but struggling to make ends meet. From a young age, Rashida learned what it meant to fight for survival. She worked odd jobs, saved every penny she could, and raised her children with fierce determination. Life was never easy. She faced loss, betrayal, and endless obstacles, but she never gave up. No one in her town could have imagined the path Rashida's life would take, the secret she carried, the destiny waiting just beyond the horizon. The mockery at the gala back in the ballroom, the whispers grew louder. A group of wealthy women nearby laughed quietly as they watched Rashida approach the stage. Look at her, a stranger in rags, daring to show up here, one of them said. Her voice sharp like a knife, Rashida's heart pounded, but she kept her head high. She was no longer the woman who had spent nights crying in silence. Tonight, she would show them all. The master of ceremonies called for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Mr. Ayan Malik, heir to the Malik family fortune. The crowd turned to see a tall, confident young man step forward. He was impeccably dressed, his smile charming, his eyes bright with purpose. But it was what he did next that stunned everyone. Ayan walked directly to Rashida. "Mom," he said clearly, his voice echoing across the room. The crowd fell silent. "Ayan's revelation, everyone," Ayan began. "This is my mother, Rashida, the woman who raised me, who sacrificed everything so I could have a better life." Gasps spread through the room. Some guests exchanged bewildered looks. Others lowered their eyes, suddenly feeling the weight of their judgment. Ayan's story was unlike anything anyone expected. He spoke of a childhood filled with hardship, where money was scarce and love was the true wealth. He described how Rashida had worked tirelessly, often going without so he could have education, opportunity, and hope. "But there's more," Ayan said, his voice dropping. "There is a truth about our family, a secret I can no longer keep." The secret beneath the surface. Rashida looked at Ayan with a mixture of pride and sadness. She had carried the burden of this secret for decades, always fearing it might destroy the fragile peace they had found. "Years ago," she began, "I was forced to make a choice that no mother should ever face. I gave up everything to protect my son and keep him safe." The room hung on every word. She revealed that Ayan was born into a world far darker than anyone knew, a world where power, betrayal, and danger lurked just beneath the surface of wealth and luxury. But despite the shadows, Rashida's love never faltered. She fought against impossible odds, working in silence, hidden from the public eye, to build a future for her son. The turning point as Rashida spoke, the gala transformed. The laughter and mockery dissolved into silence and awe. People realized that the woman they had scorned was a hero, a symbol of strength, courage, and unwavering love. But Ayan's words hinted at something more, something bigger than anyone could imagine. "Tomorrow," he said, "we will reveal the full truth about our family, a story of survival, sacrifice, and redemption. It will change everything you think you know." Suspense builds. The crowd buzzed with anticipation and disbelief. Questions filled the air. What was this secret? How did Rashida survive such trials? Why had they hidden the truth for so long? Rashida glanced around the room, her heart swelling with emotion. This was just the beginning of her story, one that would unfold in ways no one expected. She had endured ridicule, rejection, and hardship. But now, standing in the spotlight, she was ready to face whatever came next. As the gala drew to a close, whispers of Rashida's story rippled through the city. People wondered what tomorrow's revelation would bring. For Rashida and Ayan, this night marked a turning point, a chance to rewrite their story and claim their rightful place in a world that had once dismissed them. The journey ahead would be challenging, filled with surprises and trials. But together, they were ready to face it all. The night after the gala, the city buzzed with whispers about Rashida and Ayan's dramatic revelation. The headlines in every paper and news website screamed questions no one yet had answers to. Who is Rashida? What was the secret Ayan promised to reveal? But inside the Malik mansion, the atmosphere was heavy with tension. Ayan sat by the large window of his study, staring out at the city lights below. His mind raced, filled with memories, painful, beautiful, and harrowing, memories that only Rashida could bring to light. Rashida entered quietly. Her face, though tired, held a calm determination. She sat beside her son and took a deep breath. Tonight, she was ready to tell her story, the full story, the one that would shock the world and change their lives forever. The early years, a life hidden. "My story doesn't start here, in the glittering halls of the Malik estate," Rashida began softly. "It starts in a place no one would expect, majesty, in the shadows, where pain and hope battled for a place to live." She told Ayan about the difficult childhood she had endured, the harshness of poverty, and the dangers that lurked in her small town. She spoke of a time when her family was torn apart by betrayal, when people she trusted turned their backs, and when survival seemed impossible. But Rashida never lost her will to fight. She worked tirelessly, often in silence, to build a better life. She took on jobs no one else wanted, cleaning homes, cooking, sewing, anything to keep a roof over her children's heads. "Every day was a struggle," she said, "but I knew I had to be strong. For Ayan, for the future." The encounter that changed everything. Rashida's voice caught as she described the moment her life changed forever. "It was a cold winter's night when I found him. A baby abandoned, left to freeze in the snow. I didn't hesitate. I took him in, even though I had nothing to give." She revealed that Ayan was not her biological son. He was the child she rescued and raised as her own. The truth was more complicated and dangerous than anyone could imagine. "This child," Rashida said, "was the last hope of a family torn apart by greed and violence. His birthright was stolen from him, and I promised to protect him no matter the cost." The hidden danger, as Rashida continued. She explained why they had kept their story a secret for so long. The people who wanted to claim Ayan's birthright were powerful. They had money, influence, and no mercy. If they found us, they would destroy everything. She spoke of threats, shadowy figures watching their every move, and narrow escapes that kept them constantly on edge. For years we lived in fear. I changed our names, moved to new cities, and kept a low profile. All to keep him safe. Eryan's determination. Eryan listened intently, his respect and love for Rashida deepening with every word. "Mom, why did you bring me to the gala?" he asked quietly. "Why reveal this now?" Rashida looked into his eyes. "Because the danger is growing. They're closing in. It's time the world knew who you really are, so you can stand strong, and so they can't hurt us anymore." Eryan nodded, feeling a mix of fear and resolve. The life he thought he knew was unraveling, but now he understood the battles his mother had fought in silence. The enemy revealed. The next day, the family lawyer arrived with news that sent shockwaves through the household. "The Malik family's biggest rivals have taken notice," he said grimly. "They've begun legal maneuvers to claim the Malik fortune, arguing that Eryan has no legitimate right to inherit." The rivals were shadowy figures with ties to corrupt officials and powerful business tycoons. Rashida's secret was not just about survival. It was a war for justice, identity, and legacy. Allies in unexpected places in the face of mounting threats. Rashida and Eryan found support from unexpected quarters. Old friends who had disappeared from their lives long ago returned with offers of help. One of them was Farah, a fierce and loyal woman who had known Rashida since childhood. Farah's connections and street-smart tactics became crucial in navigating the dangerous world they were now thrust into. Together, they began planning their next moves, balancing the need for secrecy with the urgent fight for truth. A test of trust. Amidst the chaos, a new challenge emerged. Trust. Eryan discovered that not everyone in his circle was loyal. Whispers of betrayal reached his ears, forcing him to question who he could truly rely on. The tension between protecting family and facing enemies grew more intense, threatening to tear them apart from within. The unfolding mystery. The stage is set for a deeper dive into the mysteries surrounding Eryan's birthright and Rashida's past. The secrets are no longer hidden, but the answers remain elusive. Who can be trusted? What sacrifices will they have to make? And how far will Rashida and Eryan go to reclaim their rightful place? The days after the revelation at the gala were like a storm breaking loose on a calm sea. Rashida and Eryan found themselves caught in a whirlwind of emotions, threats, and unexpected challenges. The secret that had been carefully guarded for years was now out, but with it came danger, suspicion, and a fierce battle for survival. The web of lies. Eryan woke up that morning feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. The news that their enemies were pushing legal claims against him gnawed at his peace. He glanced across the room at Rashida, who sat quietly sipping her tea, her face lined with worry but resolute. "Mom," he said softly, "we need to be ready. They won't stop." Rashida nodded. "We never planned for this to be easy." She had expected resistance, but what neither of them anticipated was just how deep the betrayal would run. A trusted friend's dark side. Farah, Rashida's old friend who had come to their aid, was proving invaluable. Her network of contacts, her street-smart ways, and her fierce loyalty made her an indispensable ally. But even the closest friendships can hide secrets. One evening, Eryan overheard a hushed conversation between Farah and a stranger in the shadows. Their words were coded but unmistakably about plans that could harm Rashida and him. Conflicted and hurt, Eryan confronted Farah the next day. "Why didn't you tell us? What are you hiding?" he demanded. Farah's eyes flashed with pain. "I'm trying to protect you both, but sometimes the truth is dangerous." The unexpected ally. While betrayal loomed close, so did hope. Eryan received a message from a mysterious source, someone claiming to have information that could expose the real villains behind the attack on their family. The message was cryptic. Meet me at the old warehouse by the docks. Midnight, come alone. Despite Rashida's fears, Ayan decided to go. He needed answers. Midnight at the docks, the night air was cold and heavy with fog as Ayan made his way to the warehouse. Shadows danced along the walls, and the distant sound of waves crashing against the shore echoed in the silence. Inside, a figure stepped forward, a man with sharp eyes and a cautious smile. "My name is Imran," he said quietly. "I used to work for the Malik family before things went wrong." Imran revealed a web of corruption, greed, and deceit that had slowly poisoned the family from within. He told of a powerful syndicate that sought to take over Malik's fortune, using lies and manipulation. But most shocking of all, he claimed that someone very close to Ayan was working against them. The sting of betrayal, Ayan's mind raced. Could it be Farah, or worse, someone in his own family? The seed of doubt planted by Imran's words grew into a painful ache. Rashida noticed the change in her son. The sleepless nights, the anxious glances. She feared the battle was not just external, but tearing them apart inside. A mother's warning one. Evening, Rashida sat Ayan down. "Be careful who you trust," she warned. "Enemies can wear the faces of friends, but you must hold on to your own truth and your strength." Her words were heavy with experience, her eyes shining with fierce love. Ayan nodded, steeling himself for the days ahead. A plan to fight back. With Imran's help, Rashida and Ayan began gathering evidence. They tracked financial records, uncovered hidden documents, and pieced together the conspiracy against them. They also reached out to the media, preparing to tell their full story, not just of betrayal, but of resilience and justice. The stakes were higher than ever. The unexpected attack, just. As hope began to flicker, disaster struck. Late one night, their family home was broken into. Rashida and Ayan barely escaped, thanks to Farah's quick warning. The intruders left a chilling message: "Back off or lose everything." It was a stark reminder that their enemies were ruthless, and that the fight for truth was only beginning. Battle within amid the external threats, the tension between Rashida and Ayan grew. Ayan struggled with his growing distrust of those around him, especially Farah. Rashida tried to mediate, urging caution and patience. Their bond was tested like never before. A ray of light in the darkest moments, a small victory came. The media coverage began to turn public opinion. People who had once dismissed Rashida as just a simple woman now saw her as a symbol of courage. Support poured in from unexpected places. Strangers offering help, old friends standing by them. It was a reminder that truth, no matter how hidden, can shine through. The battle for justice intensifies. Rashida and Ayan face enemies both outside and within. The secrets they uncovered threaten to unravel everything, but their resolve grows stronger. Who is the true betrayer? How far will they go to claim what is theirs? And will Rashida and Ayan survive the storm? The answers lie ahead. The storm had been raging for months, and now the clouds began to part. Rashida and Ayan stood on the edge of a battle that would decide their future, a fight not just for fortune or power, but for identity, justice, and the truth. The final confrontation, the deep day dawned cold and grey, but inside the Malik estate, the tension was electric. Ayan paced the grand hall, his mind racing with everything he had learned. The betrayals, the lies, the faces of friends and enemies now blurred. Rashida entered, steady and calm. "It's time," she said. "We face them now." They were, ready for the confrontation that would either break them or set them free, exposing the betrayer. The first shock came when they gathered the family and key players in the Malik fortune for a formal meeting. With evidence gathered from Imran and the painstaking investigation, Rashida and Ayan exposed the traitor. It was Farah. Her betrayal cut deeper than anyone imagined. She had worked secretly with the syndicate, feeding information and sabotaging their efforts. Farah's face was a mask of defiance and regret. "I did what I had to," she said quietly. "They threatened my family," but Rashida's voice was firm. "Betrayal has consequences. The truth comes out. The truth behind Ayan's birthright also surfaced. Not just a story of lost inheritance, but of injustice that had been buried by greed and fear. Documents revealed how the Malik fortune had been stolen through forged papers, how Ayan's biological family had been framed, and how Rashida's bravery had kept the child safe against impossible odds. The room was silent. Eyes once cold now glistened with remorse. The legal victory with the evidence presented, the court ruled in favor of Ayan's claim. The Malik fortune was returned to him, and the corrupt syndicate was exposed and brought to justice. But this victory was not just about money. It was about reclaiming a stolen legacy and honoring the sacrifices made. Healing old wounds. After the legal battle, Rashida and Ayan focused on healing. They rebuilt trust, repaired broken relationships, and embraced the future with cautious hope. Ayan made peace with the past, understanding that his mother's love and sacrifices were the true inheritance. A new beginning, the Gala, which once had been a place of mockery and mystery, now became a symbol of strength and truth. Rashida was no longer seen as just a simple woman, but as a beacon of courage and resilience. Together, Rashida and Ayan stood ready to face whatever the future held, united, stronger and free.